Hey, welcome to this live stream. I feel it's an important one today, talking about housing prices, home prices, home opportunities for everyone on earth, to be quite honest. I got a couple of videos I'm going to share with you, and then we're going to talk about them. I'd love to get your feedback in the comments section down below. Let's watch this first video, and then let's talk about it.
There are many problems in the modern housing market, but the biggest one for Americans tends to be the price.
Oh boy, come on.
Prices rose 40% from the start of the pandemic.
In the final quarter of 2022, the typical U.S. home sold for a record-shattering $468,000. That's unaffordable for most Americans, leaving them to rent.
The housing costs are completely out of line with wages.
Some members of Congress believe Wall Street is a part of the problem.
What's outrageous is your tax dollars are helping Wall Street buy up single-family homes. You're subsidizing Wall Street.
Massive private equity firms.
Amen to that. Let's talk briefly about this. Okay, here's the challenge of getting people to understand what's happening in our world and hopefully waking up. I myself had a huge awakening in 2022, 23 about the housing situation, because in my city, in Idaho, my city was pushing what they call an upzone, which is they're increasing they're making it viable. You can do more with your property, which they sell as, oh, you can put a mother-in-law home in the back, or you can add more units, or you can, remodel and add this or that. But as one woman in Texas talked about, because they're doing this all over the country, they're trying to get value, strip value. Governments need money too. That's what it's all about. They're trying to strip value and money from these properties in their cities, because most cities have zoning that is like, okay, single family home, that's all you can do here, right? They want to unlock that value because it's basically billions of dollars, if not trillions nationwide, that they want to get out of these homes. See, the thing of it is, as the lady in Texas talked about, she said, I don't have the ability to do what you're allowing me to do with my own home because I don't have the financial means or the backing to do it. And so it's only viable to institutional investors, private equity firms, huge builders that can come in and have that capital to do that. So what Americans, I hope, will understand is that they're picking the low-hanging fruit now. And this next video I'm going to share with you is about their private equity is going after mobile home parks, because mobile home parks are by nature the most affordable housing in America right now. Housing, if you look at the graph of wages versus housing, the cost of housing has far outpaced what wages are. And this is why you see all these young kids on TikToks, everyone on TikTok, it doesn't matter what age you are. Young kids are particularly frustrated because they were sold a bunch of bullshit, right? 20 years ago, if you went to college, you got a decent job and you could make a life, you could pay your rent or buy a home, you could have leisure, you could buy things, food that you need. Nowadays, that's not the case because the system is breaking down. And because it's been corrupted so bad. And I don't like people putting on, shitting on capitalism, because I don't think that's necessarily the answer that capitalism is bad. Corruption is bad, right? Corruption that transfers wealth from some people to the 1% or less than 1%, that's the horrible part. And that happens because of government and because of certain laws and stuff that aren't in our favor. But by nature, the lowest hanging fruit, the most affordable housing in America, is being gobbled up by these private equity firms. And they could do a number of things. They're buying these mobile home parks or trailer parks. They're either raising them and getting rid of them and putting in new housing, either condos or apartments that gentrifies the area. That's more expensive, right? And all of your political and civic leaders in cities are saying, no, we're going to help you create more affordable housing, but they can't do that because of three factors. There's three factors that go into housing. That is cost of labor. Cost of labor's gone up significantly and it will continue to go up. There's cost of materials to build those homes. We know that's going up. And finally, there's cost of land, and that's going up. Government will sell you bullshit all day long, and they have they're propagandists. They're spinning the bullshit, and it never makes sense economically because they don't want you to know it doesn't make sense economically. They're essentially hosing over the very people they say they're trying to help. This is why I urge Americans to look into this and get educated on this. And they are, but many don't know where to start. And I have an 11-part series called Upzoning the Great Deception on my YouTube channel here. You can find it by going to my YouTube channel at G. Mark Phillips, the main page. If you don't have time to watch all 11 parts, you just watch the last part. If you're looking to understand, like, how this housing situation, this mess we're in works, because I give you like 10 takeaways from all these articles, but this was articles from all over the nation: Vancouver, New York, Austin, Seattle. It's happening all over the place, and it hurts the lowest income people, low and middle income people. Like I say, this will eventually happen to all of us if we don't wake up and fix the system and vote these mofos out. Money has captured our government. It always has, to be quite honest. Money has captured our government. It is corrupt. The system is corrupt. And what's happening to these people in these mobile home parks or trailer parks will happen to every American eventually as that water level rises, right? They're going to pick the low-hanging fruit. In private equity, I include Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, and Fidelity, and all these investment firms. They're using our money to essentially buy us out. They want a renter class. They want that wealth. Real estate is historically one of the best ways to create wealth for people. So they want it. They don't want, if you have kids, they don't want your kids owning homes. They want to own the home and rent it to your kids so they have a permanent renter class in America. That's what they want. They will come after every single class. And if you're doing well right now, good for you. But at what point will the water level rise to put you underwater, right? At what point will your property taxes or your cost of living in other areas, right? Just a home either payment or property taxes. It's just one aspect. What about food? What about healthcare? What about all of the other expenses that Americans are facing that are rising incredibly? What about when those rise so much? You see, I keep waiting for Americans to dive in and do and investigate what's happening in our world, but it doesn't seem to have happened so much yet. They're just taking it. I mean, getting beat up at the grocery store, getting beat up on cost of goods and services to live their lives, to, pay for things for their kids, education, etc. They just take it. And I think a lot of Americans, and I think I've seen studies saying they're using credit cards, they're dipping into savings, they're dipping into retirement account, hoping that they can weather this storm. The reality is the storm's not going away. Unless we fundamentally fix the system, the storm is not going away. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. Water levels will continue to rise and gobble up people from the lower economic all the way to the top. And while we're on this topic, I also want to share this. What I realized during my own battle with the city that I live in is that, yes, we do need to fix the system. Yes, we do need to get institutional investors out of buying homes. What the F? What the F? It's bad for the neighborhood because they don't give a shit. They just want that money. It's the same thing with getting pharmaceutical companies out of healthcare. What the F? They have a long history of putting profits over people. Investment firms, they don't care about the neighborhood. They're not building the fabric of a neighborhood. They're in it for money and profit, right? Whereas a homeowner who lives there, they're like, yeah, I want to make my house better for the neighborhood. I want to be a part of the community. I want to do all this stuff. It's bad all around. And also then it locks, once those homes go into those private equity investment portfolios, they're never coming out. They're never coming out. It's wild to try to convince Americans to wake up to this, but my whole thing is this: eventually everyone will wake up, because the pain will become so unbearable. It'll become so intolerable. People's children will never be able to own homes. That's almost a given right now. That's almost a given. It doesn't even matter what you're doing. Even if you are in the healthcare field or in the law field or in the medical field and you have a good job, or an engineer, or a, some kind of a highly paid person, that's still not a given that you're going to be able to own a home, just because of the exorbitant expense of owning a home these days. It's not ideal. It's not ideal, and we got to fix the problem. So let's go back to this other one, and let me share this with you. Okay, let me see if there's going to be an ad here. No, here we go.
I worked my whole life, and this is what it comes down to? Some greedy person wanting his big chunk out of what little bit I had?
How much longer can you afford to live in your home?
1 month. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Hope that I don't wake up tomorrow. That's crossed my mind.
One of the most important forms of affordable housing is under threat. They're called manufactured housing communities. You might know them as mobile home parks or trailer parks, and they often get a bad rap. But 22 million Americans call them home for a reason.
We're pretty much the last oasis of affordable housing in this country.
These parks are at the foundation of America's housing market, often the last line of defense against homelessness. But over the last decade, these communities have become the target of a new kind of landlord: private equity.
Private equity firms are increasingly getting involved.
Some of the biggest investors in America have moved into this industry.
People living at a local mobile home park outraged over the sharp increase in lot rent.
Rents were raised by nearly 60%.
Their rent could increase by thousands of dollars a year.
A group of mobile home residents are protesting their living conditions.
It's like you have genetically bred a superior predator and let them loose in a target-rich environment. This is actually a good day.
All right, let's talk about that video for a moment. It is not lost on me that we live in a world where there are going to be people, and everyone does this to some degree or another, that are going to look for opportunities to make money in the world. What we're having now, though, is the snake is eating itself. Right? You've seen the symbol. The snake is eating itself, and it always does eat itself. I often think about the wild, savage nature of animals in the wild. Have you ever seen what animals do to each other in the wild? It is savage. We do it too. Americans do it too, only we do it in a financial, well, not Americans, human beings. We do it in a financial way, right? We exploit other people financially for our own gain. And I'm not saying that is right or wrong. What I am saying is this. Again, at what point do those private equity firms come for your home? For what you have, because you are in their sights right now, right? Society, it's not really working. If here's my thing. In COVID times, they said, if no one's safe, no one is safe till everyone's safe. Remember they were pushing that bullshit? No one is safe till everyone's safe. Well, let me just spin it a little bit. No one is free from attacks by private equity firms who have a freaking shit pot of money, right? More money than you do. You won't withstand that. You go into a bidding war to buy a home. Your kid goes into a bidding war to buy a home, and a private equity firm associated with BlackRock, because what happens is these firms, BlackRock, it's not BlackRock buying it, it's a subsidiary of BlackRock buying it, right? Your kid goes into a bidding war with them, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. Everyone is going to be in their sights eventually. And it's all part of the bigger picture of you will own nothing and be happy about it. And getting that through people's brains can be challenging, because You gotta look beneath the surface. You gotta project out. These people are years, if not decades ahead of us. They've got a master plan and they want you to own nothing and be happy about it. They want you to be a permanent renter. They want you to be financially enslaved to them and their system forever. And all I'm doing is saying, hey, do you people want to look into this? Because I don't know, it seems like a pretty shitty situation when someone says you'll own nothing and be happy about it. It's already happening. And there's a probability we might not be able to change it. And I want to talk about this. I missed this point earlier. In addition to being aware of what's happening and trying to change the system so that we can bring those two, if we can, I don't even know if we can, wages and housing closer together. So they're not, so housing has not outpaced, the price of housing has not outpaced the wages. If we can fix the systemic problem, we also have to focus on being more prosperous and abundant ourselves. And that's the realization I came to as I was fighting this battle. Because it's difficult to get a person who doesn't see that there's a fire in our world or a disaster in our world to wake up. It can be difficult. It can be difficult. Because until you look beneath the covers and go, holy shit, we have a systemic problem in our world. We have a systemic problem with healthcare. We have a systemic problem with housing. With money, our money system, monetary policy is all jacked up. Education, like it's all a mess. It's a mess. We're going in the wrong direction, which is not, we're not thinking, we're not using our brains. We've got on autopilot. I think a lot of it is these phones that we use are thinking for many people. Super dangerous. But what I realize is it's difficult to get people to understand there's a problem until it touches you firsthand and you feel the pain, touches you or a loved one firsthand, and you see and feel the pain of what's happening. You'll wake your ass up then. That's when people wake up. When your house is on fire, most people wake up when it gets really hot and really uncomfortable. That's when they wake up and go, oh shit, my house is on fire. Ideally, it's better to wake up before that happens and fix problems. The reason I want to fix problems sooner rather than later is because I'm a preventist, right? I would rather prevent problems before they become problems, right? This is why early in my life I started eating healthier, because I was like, well, eventually if I keep eating pizzas and fast food and stuff like that, I'll have to change my lifestyle eventually. I might as well do it now. And you find a way to make it happen. But procrastination is common in the human experience. And so I get, people, it tastes so good eating that food. It's difficult to use your brain and think, let's be honest. But my point is this. I started to realize the water level is going to rise no matter what. Like we are in a burnout mode. Our debt is at 35 trillion. The Federal Reserve has to stay in inflationary mode in order to run this shit, because they're running on fumes now, so they have to keep printing money, which devalues the money in our pocket. Like it's never going to end. The two things I say to people are find ways to create value for people. That's why I created One Life, which is a guide and a system to help people know their purpose, know their mission, so they can be as valuable as God intended them to be to society, right? How do you think? How are you built? What is your ikigai? What is your reason for being? What do you love to do? What do you enjoy? What are you well suited for, right? What is your disposition built for? We have to find ways to be more valuable. Again, you can learn more at thisismyonelife.com. We have to find ways to create more value in the world to stay ahead of that rising water level. And that is a system for living and living your mission, living your purpose. So you can create products and services and experiences for people that enrich their lives, and in turn you enrich your life. And so that's why I created that guide. And it's everything that I've ever created, all 5 of my books, the Media Business Blueprint is all part of that. I might pull that out in the future and sell it separately, because I'm also a recruiter, recruiting people to share knowledge and information, because that's how we're going to win win and stay ahead of this, is waking people up to what's happening in our world. If people are asleep in a fire in the world, we're super screwed. Again, you can learn more at thisismyonelife.com, but it's essentially an all-in-one system for living with all of the tools. Most of them are mind tools, giving people strategies and tactics that I've gathered on my own journey, right? I often tell people I'm more of a collector than I am a creator, right? I'm a collector of information and knowledge and a compiler so that I can create these systems and processes. I use it too. What you're watching right now is me doing my mission or my purpose in the world, which is running a talk show that is, the mission is to enhance the human experience. The mission is to share knowledge and information. We're all connected. We're all connected in this ecosystem of the world. And this is why I talk about events going on in Israel and Gaza, and I talk about things happening in Ukraine and other parts of the world, because human beings are all connected, right? What's happening over in Gaza is happening in the United States in a different way, right? They're using silent weapons for quiet wars in the United States. You don't drop bombs on the United States. You use silent weapons for quiet wars. You attack people with food. You attack people with entertainment. You attack the people with education, teaching them dumb things. You start gender wars. You start fighting. You create race wars. You create divide and conquer strategies. You put stuff in the air. You put stuff in the water. Silent weapons for quiet wars is how you attack the most powerful country in the world. And it's been going on since the 50s, and most people don't know about it. I highly recommend you to Google up silent weapons for quiet wars and check into it. It's blow your mind. Anyway, we're all connected, and my mission is to share knowledge and information to help enhance the human experience. And this is myonelife.com is a system to help you find what you were built to do, what you're here to do, so that you can do your purpose. Because the most wealth that you ever will make will be because of doing your purpose, right? Dropping all of the other balls and focusing on why God created you, why you're here, and what you're here to do. That's how you win. That's how we win the game of life. It's a game. It's a game. One Life is a game. It's not a course. It's a guide/system for winning the game of life, playing your strengths, right? That's what I realized, is that we have to dig deep, go within. A lot of people are caught up in the beast system doing work that supports the bullshit. And I'm not knocking it, right? I'm not knocking it. We've all been propagandized. We've all been coerced and lied to and kind of herded in and corralled into doing things that support the beast system, right? The reason people are waking up right now is because they're realizing, oh, I've been enriching or allowing corrupt characters to be enriched, and I don't want to do that anymore, right? And or they're getting let go by the beast system. What's happening now in the world is, as the water level's rising, as things are happening, private sector took a beating. Private sector took a beating in COVID times, big time. People lost their jobs. They lost their businesses. Many people lost everything. It's horrible. Government didn't feel it at all or as much, but they will. If you are a government employee, your time is coming. So I urge you, even if you are a government employee and have that steady paycheck, please look into these things. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Check it out. That water level's rising, and eventually it'll come for you. Again, they have already told us their game plan. You will own nothing and be happy about it. You will live in 15-minute cities. You're going to eat the bugs. You're going to all these things. And they're doing it by financial warfare, essentially. And that's the other thing I encourage people to do, is expand their mind and their thinking about what warfare is. Warfare is multidimensional, multifaceted, and back to the silent weapons for quiet wars. You might not even know you're being attacked. If you're eating the delicious processed fast food, you're being attacked and you don't even know it, right? That's an attack on your body, a subtle attack on your body that may take years to manifest itself, right? If you are having to dip into your savings a little every month, or your retirement account a little every month to live, that may take years to go, oh, I burned through my money. That's not a good thing. That's financial warfare, right? There's physical warfare, psychological warfare, spiritual warfare, financial warfare, which is what everyone in America and a lot of the world, because we're a global economy, we're a world economy. Everyone in America has been attacked financially for a long time. They just don't know it, because most people aren't taught financial anything. I mean, Americans are financially illiterate. Many people in the world are financially illiterate, but Americans are financially illiterate on purpose, by design, because if they weren't, they'd go, holy shit, what's happening here, right? They think if they get another president in, they're going to fix the problem. I saw a video the other day, and it illustrates how Americans think, and it illustrates the fact that they don't know. Most people don't know what's going on. This woman, she appeared to be a grandmother. It was at a Trump rally, and she said, Trump, how are you going to fix the economy if you get in, right? And Trump said, hey, well, what I'm going to do, let me give you the whole story. So she said, how are you going to fix the economy if you get in? I'm a grandma. I have grandkids. I'm having trouble buying food for the kids, right? It's rough. We all know how these food prices are. Absolutely crazy. She said, how are you going to fix it? And Trump said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on energy. If we get energy costs down, then it will drive everything else down. And which, on the surface seems like a great answer. But what this woman and what many Americans fail to realize is Trump's not in charge. No politician is in charge. Money lenders are in charge. Bankers are in charge. Politicians work for people with money. They don't work for us. And there's limited things that they can do. Our money is burning out. The American dollar is burning itself out. We're running on fumes already. Politicians can't affect monetary policy because in 1913, Congress outsourced that to the Federal Reserve. So there's nothing they can do. Your representative, your senator, your congressman, your president can't do anything about money. And most people don't understand that. The Federal Reserve runs monetary policy, right? They do whatever they want to do because it's a private banking cartel. Remember, Congress gave them that power in 1913. So we're hosed and people don't even know it. The money situation will never fix itself again. We're in burnout mode, right? We're now in, and what I recommend to people is get rid of your debt. If you have debt, pay it off in whatever way that you can. You got to do your own financial, I'm not a financial advisor. Do what you need to do to verify this shit. But I'm just saying that the three things that experts tell, and again, do your own research. Don't take my advice for it. Pay off debt. Convert, get diversified in your investments, right? We know another crash is coming. Those of us who lived through 2008 know some bullshit is coming down the line. It's just a matter of when. It's not if, it's when. And what I'm doing is converting cash to useful things. I don't want to have a bunch of cash or useless fiat currency when all shit's gone to hell and you're like, oh, okay. And you can see what's happened in other countries. Loaves of bread are like exorbitant amounts, $1,000, $100. It happened in Venezuela. It happened in was it Nigeria? Somewhere in Africa. You couldn't have, you spend so much money on the most trivial small things. But people don't understand monetary policy, and I didn't used to understand it. But I thought, well, I want to learn this stuff so I can, protect my wealth. And if you do what the big boys and girls in finance are doing, you're probably going to be okay. Also, watch The Great Taking by David Rogers Webb. I've also got a review video on my YouTube channel here in the review series. It's slow at the beginning, but stick with it. It's valuable knowledge. Again, I don't know why people wouldn't want to educate themselves on anything related to their health, their wealth, and success in life. But some people would rather watch entertainment things. I watch them too, but I encourage people to watch that, especially The Great Taking, because it's already happened twice in my lifetime. It's going to look different if The Great Taking happens again. And they've already done tests. The Federal Reserve, who's Janet Yellen? She's not the Federal Reserve. She's I forget what department she is. They've already done tests behind the scenes to make sure the system will work to sweep assets. That's their plan. In 2008, that's a good example because we mostly all can remember that. In 2008, they didn't sweep assets because the dollar was still viable, right? So what they did is they took out a loan in Americans' name and gave it to Wall Street, right? Remember that when Obama said, we've got to bail these guys out, they're too big to fail. See, that's bullshit. That's theft, right? They made money twice. They made money on risky bullshit investments. Remember the prime bundling up a bunch of loans? Remember when anyone could get a loan? Lots of people were getting loans for homes, but it wasn't done in a prudent way. They weren't verifying like all of the things you should verify before you lend money to someone. Like, can you pay this back? I mean, the bubble went up. I know people who had to declare bankruptcy from that. People were in the spec home building business or had pulled equity out of their home to buy things, and then when something happened and they couldn't make their home payments, they lost everything. Like, I'm sure you know people about that too. In 2008, the dollar was still somewhat viable, and so that they could fix it with money, right? They drop a wall in and go, okay, we're going to stop the financial collapse. So instead of letting the system collapse and reset naturally, they drop a wall in and say, okay, the federal government's going to fix this problem. And we know the federal government does never fix problems. They create problems. They create bigger problems. And they created an even bigger problem. And so when the next one happens, which it will happen, right? These are cyclical things. When the next one happens, many believe, and I'm one of them, that there won't be anything the federal government can do to stop it because the dollar, you can't fix it with dollars anymore. This is why David Rogers Webb says the way they plan to do it, and I hope this doesn't happen, the way they plan to do it and have everything set up to do it is they're going to sweep assets, right? This is again how they say you'll own nothing and be happy about it. Anything that's backed by debt that you own, could be your car, could be your home, could be things in your home, anything that's could even be potentially stocks and bonds. We don't know. Anything that's backed by debt and collateralized, they have laws on the uniform commercial code in every state they put in place, and I hope people are reversing them and waking up to this, that makes it possible for them to take that from people. That's some straight up bullshit, right? Again, when I tell people that are incredulous about this and think, well, that's not going to happen, I tell them it's already happened twice in my lifetime. Wall Street has been bailed out twice in my lifetime. It's the same thing, just looks different, right? It just looks different. They're still taking from us and giving it to their friends on Wall Street. This is why I tell people it's a racket. Government and Wall Street and financial is a freaking racket. And because most people are financially illiterate, they don't know it's a racket. They just know they can't buy food for their family, or they'll never take a vacation again, or they can't do things they needed to do in order to survive. They don't know why it's happening, because we're so inundated with bread and circuses and all of the distractions, and they keep us stupid, right? They keep us ignorant. The only way you control people is by keeping them ignorant. Intelligent people you can't control, because if they don't know something, they're going to go find it out because they have a growth mindset, and they go, you know what? I'm going to look into this shit. I'm going to invest 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 hours of looking into this. In the information age, if people don't know, they don't want to know. Everything's at our fingertips now. I mean, you can know exactly what the richest investment firms on the planet know in a number of hours now, right? It was something I was going to say and I forgot what it was. It'll come to me here in a moment. I know what it was. Talking about Aladdin. Look into Aladdin. Aladdin is the AI computer system that identifies viable investment opportunities in the world, and that's what's eating up all of the low-hanging fruit. It's wild. What's happening in our world is wild. This is why when I see people watching bread and circuses and just totally oblivious to what's going on, I sometimes think there's no hope for humanity, because son of a bitch, like, at what point does it get painful enough financially, psychologically, physically, emotionally, spiritually to wake people up? It's wild what what people will take. It reminds me of people who are drug addicts, whose lives have spiraled so far out of control, but yet they still go back to the drug, and the drug is the bread and circuses, the food, the entertainment, the whatever else. You know, it's wild. It's wild to watch. But I again, sometimes I resign myself to the fact that, you know, people won't wake up until it becomes painful enough for them to wake up. That's what happened to me, you know, and it wasn't personally my pain. It was seeing the pain of someone close to me in my life. And I was like, son of a bitch, you know, this got to change. Pain is the great waker upper. And until it touches people, and I always pray for people that it touches them in a swift, minimal way, just enough to wake them up, but then gets out of their life, because you're going to have the pain. Again, if your house is on fire, you got to feel the pain of the burn before you get up and get out of the house or put the fire out. Our house is on fire. Our house is on fire financially. Our house is on fire spiritually, psychologically, physically. Many people are experiencing health problems and don't know why, because there's a level of ignorance about what health is. You know, we've been sold a bunch of bullshit for decades, if not centuries, at least a century heavy, right? People with money hiring experts and scientists, which are really just propagandists, to tell us things that favor them making more money. It's not even rocket science, but getting people to understand that and break out of their patterns of believing and thinking and behaving that are deeply ingrained. It's a challenge. Let's be real, for all of us when we're trying to make changes in our lives. It's a challenge. And again, I'll end with this. Earl Nightingale said it. Most people don't think because thinking is the hardest thing in the world. It's uncomfortable to think. It's uncomfortable to use your brain. This is why these smartphones, as awesome as they are for communicating and sharing information, they're also super dangerous because people aren't thinking as they should, right? Thanks for watching this video. I appreciate you. Leave me a thumbs up if you like it. I'd love to have you as a subscriber everywhere on social media and on YouTube at G. Mark Phillips. And until next time, I wish you all the best health, wealth, and success. Go check out focusandflow.co if you are so inclined. Also, this is my onelife.com, which is the all-in-one system for living that will help you know your purpose, know your mission, create valuable products, services, and experiences to benefit and enrich other people, and which enriches yourself as well. Have an awesome day. I'll talk to you later.